All right, I'm going to call to order the June 3rd, 2025 Committee of the Whole. First item is our roll call.
Commissioner Gisler,
Here.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler,
Here.
Commissioner Mazer,
Here.
Commissioner Morales,
Present.
Commissioner Ray,
Present.
Chair Strips,
Here.
Vice Chair Taylor,
Here.
Commissioner Wheeler,
Here.
Commissioner DeLue.
Here.
9 present.
Thank you. Our next order of business is public comment. So today, public comment can be made in person or by phone if you are attending virtually. Members of the public can call 855-925-2801 and enter the meeting code 10748 and press *3 to join the speaker queue. Callers may request to join that speaker queue at any time before the end of our public comment period. Speakers will be recognized in the order that the requests are received. Members in chambers can join us at the podium. When you connect with us, please share your name and where you're from. You have up to 3 minutes to speak with the commission. It's an opportunity to give feedback in a respectful and professional manner. We have anybody who wishes to make public comment? Seeing none in chambers. Dina, are there any callers online? I am hearing of none. So with that, I'm going to move forward. Item 3 is a review of accounts payable and payroll disbursements with our finance director, Ryan Post. Welcome, Director.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair Pro Tem, Board of Commissioners. This evening, we have an accounts payable claims list totaling $7,369,144 is presented for review. Of this total, the Board of Commissioners asked to approve claims totaling $6,144,225.54. Payroll disbursements totaling $4,217,051.13 are presented for the May 23rd general and May 30th elected payrolls. With that being said, we welcome any questions from the Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, Director. Vice Chair.
Yeah, I just have a couple of quick ones. I think they're probably pretty easy. Right at the top, there are 3 payments out of the general fund for firearms advance, instructor development training, and FTO travel advance. I just noticed it because it comes out of Fund 101-00000. Do you know what those are for? Because if it was law enforcement, wouldn't it come out of the law enforcement fund?
If I may look into that, please.
Okay.
And provide a response to administration to follow up with the board.
No worries. And the last one I think is really easy. It's under contingencies for the Motorola solutions for radios. Was that part of the housekeeping thing we did 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago?
That aligned with the Section 19 reimbursement that
Okay.
the county received funding from the state of Michigan. That was all included in that bucket of funding to kind of keep everything housed
Okay.
in the same budget.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you much.
Absolutely welcome. Yep.
Any others? All right, seeing none. Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
All right. The next item on our agenda is a presentation from the Road Commission of Kalamazoo County. They are not yet able to be present in chambers. They do expect to have an arrival of about 4:30 this afternoon, so we're going to continue forth in the agenda and we will come back to them. We'll go to item 5 at this time, which brings us to the groundwater contamination sites and Kalamazoo County presentation. We're going to hear from Leah Erlandson, Kalamazoo County groundwater specialist. Welcome. You have a button in front of you with a little person on it. That'll turn your mic off. There you go. You got it. Great. Welcome.
Hello, I'm Leah Erlinson. I'm the groundwater specialist at the Kalamazoo County Environmental Health Department. I'm here to talk about groundwater contamination sites within the county. Thank you for having me. I understand I might be a little bit nervous, so I might be talking a little fast and trying to get into the time frame here. So what exactly does a groundwater specialist do? Not every county in the state has one of the groundwater specialists. So typically, on a daily basis, I will be monitoring groundwater conditions and reviewing well conditions for all of the well permits that we do, especially those within a half mile of a contamination site. And by doing that, we do water sampling and reviewing the water samples for each site. We work closely with the state and federal partners and collaborate with the city and well protection areas. And we educate the public as well as disperse PFAS filters throughout the county. Next slide. I will be talking about groundwater contamination and the contamination sites. I will be talking about federal, state, and local actions and responsibilities, as well as where you can find public information. Next slide. Types of groundwater types of contamination typically found are polychlorinated biphenyls, otherwise known as PCBs. These are typically found in adhesives, oil-based paints, and different types of insulation. This chemical is known to cause liver damage as well as immune and reproductive issues. PCEs or TCEs found in dry cleaning, degreasing, and textiles. They are known to cause liver and kidney damage. Next slide. Volatile organic compounds, otherwise known as VOCs. You can find these in varnishes, automotive leaking fuel tanks, as well as dry cleaning. 1,4-dioxane, you might have heard of, is typically found in industrial solvents, degreasing, adhesives, and detergents. Both of these chemicals are known to cause liver and kidney damage. Per and polyfluorinated alkyl substances, best known as PFAS. You'll typically find these in firefighting foam, coatings, and nonstick cookware. These can increase the risk of different types of fertility cancers, kidney disease, kidney cancer, thyroid disease, and neurological issues. Other types of contamination is metals, pesticides, and nitrates. Moving on to different types of contamination sites. So a number of these sites might have different types of contamination per site. It's not limited to one type of contamination, except for the PFAS sites. So as we go through these sites, I do challenge you to think about how many of each of these sites we have within our county. First up, next slide, we have Superfund sites, and I'll give you an easy answer. We currently have 5 within our county. You might have heard of a couple of these. You can find the current list of these sites on the EPA's website. And when you classify a site as a Superfund site, it's overseen by the EPA. This allows either the responsible party or the EPA to clean up the site. So the goal of these sites is to clean it up. If there is no responsibility or responsible party, the Superfund, the actual giant piggy bank, allows the cleanup to happen through the EPA. These sites are typically in higher contamination levels and a more extensive cleanup plan than a Part 201, which I'll talk about later. They're overseen by the EPA, but they might be managed by the EPA or the state, and that is dependent on the record of decision for each site. Next slide. The record of decision is a large report. It provides the background of that site, and it provides the technical goals and the process to reach those goals. It also provides the processes that were not chosen to reach the goal. And these reports certify that the remedy chosen does comply with the Superfund rules. Moving on, next slide, to brownfield sites. To give you a reference of how many we have in our county, the map is provided by Ride Mapper. A brownfield is a property, the expansion, redevelopment, or reuse of which may be complicated by the presence or potential presence of a hazardous substance, pollutant, or contaminant. So the goal of these sites is not only to clean it, but to redevelop or reuse the land. These are managed by the state, by either the Michigan Department of Eagle or MEDC. The MEDC provides reimbursement for the fees used to redevelop the land. Next slide. The Michigan Department of Eagle collaborates with the communities, provides technical guidance and incentive financially, like grants or loans. To redevelop or remediate, reuse the land, there's different types of remediation processes, and these processes are highly dependent on the type of contamination that is in the site. Different types of remediation processes include excavation and disposal, capping and containment, typically found within landfills, on-site treatment, filtering, or pump and entry. Next slide. A Part 201, like I mentioned before, typically you'll find a lot of VOCs, PCBs, pesticides, and then as a reference, you have a map, again provided by Ride Mapper from Eagle. Part 201s are a little bit less stringent than a Superfund site, primarily managed by the responsible party or the owner. This allows the party to be more independent in their cleanup work and without approval from the state. You'll notice that there are quite a few more sites than a brownfield site, and this is typically because these sites are stemmed from baseline environmental assessments, or BEAs. BEAs are typically stemmed from the sale of a property or the purchase of a property. Next slide. Part 211s and 213s. These are almost the same. Both of them have underground storage tanks. They're managed by Eagle. They both have fuel. And you can find, again, all of the locations of these sites on Eagle's Ride Mapper. This is an incredibly useful tool, public information, and I use this on a daily basis. The difference between 11 and a 213 is that a 213 is a leaking or leaked underground storage tank. So when I'm permitting a well near these sites, typically it'll have lots of isolation distances as well as permitting restrictions, especially for the 213s. And then you'll see on the map that you have 211s and 213s, both with open and closed sites. So it is very heavily dense. And it's not to scare you about how many sites we have within our county. It's just to give you a perspective. You'll see a lot of these sites are centered around heavily populated areas, along the highways or main roads. If you can think about how many gas stations you pass on your way into the meeting today. These sites are not limited to just gas stations. So it just gives you a perspective on how many 211s and 213s we have. Next slide. Groundwater restricted zones, another freebie here. We have 4 in our county. These are zones that prevent the consumption of groundwater. And the idea is to prevent the consumption in the best interest of the public health. And we're restricting these zones specifically for the goal of public safety while the remediation is being complete. So it's a 2-part goal. Remediation's at play and it's for the public safety. This is at a county level. Next slide. And lastly, we have PFAS sites. These are contamination specific sites. So the only ones that are specific for very specific contamination. And why do we have these as, its own special site? This is because PFAS is known as a forever chemical, meaning once it's entered the body, it stays in the body. That can also be said for the ground and the groundwater. So it's very difficult to remediate these sites. These are managed by the state by both the Eagle and the MDHHS. They've teamed together to create MPART, and MPART has a very, very well thought out public website for information on PFAS, the sites, and a map of all the sites within Michigan. So if you can think about how many sites you thought about, do your numbers in your head compared to the ones that we have on the screen. You'll notice that we do have a large number of Part 201s, 211s, and 213s. Those numbers include open and closed sites. The PFAS sites also include the areas of interest. Next slide. You might be thinking, why do we have such great numbers? It's mainly down to two reasons. The contamination sites are industry specific. So in the 1880s, about 25% of Kalamazoo residents worked for paper mills, and paper mills we only saw a decline in the mills in the 1960s and 70s when environmental laws were enacted. And another part is the geology of the county. About 14,000 years ago, when the glaciers were melting, left behind an array of different sediments in no specific order, which means that could be areas in the county with no confining layer or no clay layer, which leaves a lot of opportunity to have contamination entering our aquifers. Next slide. So what exactly is being done to prevent the contamination? It's mainly education. It's very, very important to educate, and ensuring that old wells that are no longer in use are properly plugged, sampling, monitoring current conditions of contamination sites, as well as open communication with state and city partners. Next slide. At the Environmental Health Department, we are in direct contact with residents, with the state and local officials. We also do a lot of filter disbursement for PFAS and making sure the residents with filters are maintaining their filters. Again, more education. And also a shameless plug to the Household Hazardous Waste Center. If you have any household hazardous waste in your home and your property, take it down to the center. If you're looking to sample your water well, we recommend bacteria nitrates to be done yearly. If you're looking for anything besides that, typically done for site-specific reasons or health concerns, we would recommend the state laboratory. They can do VOCs, PFAS, metal, pesticides, and many, many more. And lastly, my contact information. If you have any questions specifically for your site or very specific sites, that's what I'm here for. And if you're looking at PFAS sites or brownfield sites or any type of very specific sites, you can always reach out to the state partners. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Specialist Erlandson. We appreciate the presentation. You did a great job, so no need to be nervous. Do commissioners have any questions? Vice Chair and then Commissioner Gisler.
Yeah, thank you very much for that report. The Part 211s and 213s, that just basically whether or not a tank is leaking. How do all 211s become 213s?
No, it's possible that they can be there and removed from the ground without ever leaking. Typically, when something is leaking, they find it out through, discrepancies of numbers of gallons that they've sold or so on. There's always barriers at play when those tanks go in the ground. So when they're being removed, those barriers, might have done their job. So not all 211s result in 213s.
I guess is it normal to have as many 213s as we have, or many leaking? It seems like it would be sort of like proactive to how do we get the 211s to never become 213s, I guess. Is that safe?
I'm not sure if it's a normal amount. With the high density of people in the areas, you're always going to have that risk. And sometimes a 213 is extremely minimal, maybe only a couple of gallons or a couple feet within the ground.
Commissioner Gisler.
Thank you, Chair. I have a question that I'd like to, first I want to compliment you on a fine presentation. Then I want to address a question to the guy in the front row over there. Jim, you've had people present to us before, and every one of them seems to be a silver-tongued devil. They just don't, they really present well. And in this day and age, there's a whole lot of folks that have trouble putting sentences together, and I really appreciate your presentation. And I will mention the other ones that have come up before us in the last year or so, Cassie Bailey and Don Saldia. And you join their ranks, and at some point I'm going to start distributing lapel pins or something about silver-tongued devils. So thank you very much.
You forgot my name. That's okay. He's her boss.
Who is that?
Lucas Bowles. Nice.
Oh, well, yeah, that's right. You presented too, Lucius, didn't you? And Jim himself is a silver-tongued devil. So I don't know. You got some kind of training program down there on Alcott. Thank you.
I say it's in the water, but I don't want to go there.
I bet everybody can guess what Commissioner Gissler's favorite nickname for people is, Silver Tongue Devil. Thank you for that. I did have one additional question. I'm so sorry to do that to you as you thought you were off the hook. So just one more. You know, we recently needed to expand the groundwater restriction zone. And I just wondered if you could speak if community members have questions or concerns, if you know, they want to talk through about utilization of irrigation well on their community and their property in such a circumstance. Where do they go to find that more information? Who should they talk to?
Typically, right here. And then if I need more information, I know exactly who I can reach out to and then get that information directly back to the person that's asking about it.
Thank you so much for the work all of you do to keep the community safe and to keep people drinking healthy water. So we appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right. It looks like we now have our grace with our esteemed colleagues at the Road Commission. So at this time, I'll welcome Travis Bartholomew, Managing Director of the Road Commission, if you'd like to join us for a presentation of their annual report. Welcome, Travis. You have to, there's a little person on the button and your light will come on. There, you got it. Excellent, welcome.
So we're going to pass out the annual reports. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time in them today. We have a presentation we want to share. I'm not sure Commissioner Gissler or Silver Tongue Devil, probably not going to be here, but we'll try to get the information across. So let's start off with introductions. So with us tonight, we have our chair, Dave Plowski, vice chair, Larry Stahauer, and then we have members, Randy Thompson, Keisha Dickinson, and Andy Davis. And somewhere, oh, there he is, Mark Warden, our public relations director. So I'm glad to be here tonight. So we have just a few slides we want to share, probably take 10, 12 minutes to do that. And then we'll turn it open to some questions, if there's questions for the Road Commission. So, all right, first of all, let's just go over what we want to talk about a little bit here today. I'm not sure I'm seeing it all, am I? Am I seeing the top of it? I think there's one more at the top. I think it's commissioners, so I think it's kind of hidden. So anyways, want to talk about our commissioners' leadership roles, our new facility, how we're collaborating, funding, service requests, so which are key to the Road Commission, where we're at with non-motorized, our projects, and then what we're doing for recruiting, as we have a couple open positions at the time. Okay, next slide, please. All right, like I mentioned, the annual report, we just passed a copy of our 2024 annual report around. A lot of great information there. Our team does an awesome job of putting that together. They are not for hire, but they are spectacular. I can't say enough about how well our team spends the time, the graphics, the details. It's just a great reflection of what we do in a year. but again, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on that because you can take it for your pleasure for your reading. But in that, you're going to see our service request summary, awards and recognition, what we've done last year for public outreach, where we're at for funding, winter maintenance is in there, and some key statistics, along with all of our projects in the annual report from last year. And there was right around 180 projects, and they're listed by township. So you can see what we're doing in each individual township, both on the primary and local side. All right, next slide, please. So our board, as I introduced, so we obviously have a 5-member board appointed by the county board. So we thank you for that. Next slide, please. So just going through, and this is their leadership roles, right? Above and beyond their core responsibilities at the road commission. Commissioner Pulowski, he serves as a liaison for Brady, Kalamazoo, and Texas. Commissioner Stayhauer, our vice chair, is also a liaison for Comstock, Ashmo, and Pavilion Townships, and he also serves on the Parks and Recreation Commission. Keisha Dickinson, a liaison to Schoolcraft, Prairie Run, and Waukesha. Randy Thompson, one of our new commissioners, is a liaison to Climax, Cooper, and Ross, and now is serving on the Board of Public Works. And then we have Andy Davis, also another new commissioner for 2025. And he is our liaison for Alamo, Charleston, and Richland Townships. And as of an hour ago, he's now serving on the EHAC committee. So appreciate his service there. All right, next slide, please. We threw a slide in here to talk about our new facility. It's getting to be probably old news by now. We moved in just over a year ago, but we threw it up there because we just got another award for all of our innovation with this new facility. So we thought that we'd share that most recent update, but and also to say we appreciate the Board of County Commissioners' support on this project. It never would have happened without this board. So well needed for the community, well needed for our team. It was time to upgrade, increasing our service level, our capacity, employee retention. I mean, I just go on and on. This has just been a great, phenomenal project for us and has put us in forward motion to serve the public. All right, next slide, please. All right, I'll spend a little time on collaboration. This is interesting too, because 2 of these 3 items I wanted to share just happened here today. So first of all, the Road Commission not only services our own county road system, but we also assist villages and cities as we can, where we can, with road projects, improvement type projects. We historically work with Augusta, Richland, Climax, and Vicksburg, and we have now added Schoolcraft to that list. So in essence, these locals are coming to the Road Commission asking for assistance. We help put together project estimates. We use our procurement process and share our funding and even our inspection with these small units of government because they're just not large enough to go out on their own and can't get as good a pricing. So again, it's been a great collaborative effort with them. We also, and this is nothing new, historically, the Drain Commission, we spent a lot of time with the Drain Commission because our jurisdiction crosses at the road crossings, right? So we work together on those types of projects. And then I'm sure you recall at the County Commission's last meeting, you approved this emergency management vehicle storage agreement. So that went to our board here just an hour or so ago, and it was also approved. So I'll work out the details with your OEM department, and we'll get that equipment transferred to our facility, hopefully as soon as tomorrow, I hear. So next slide, please. All right. Again, in that collaborative area, one more thing I wanted to share. I mentioned the new facility seems to keep getting awards. So does this project. It's 2 years old. It was a collaborative effort between the city of Kalamazoo, Kalamazoo Township, Kalamazoo County Parks, the Sheriff's Department, and the Road Commission. And it was the Lake Street project. If you recall, 2023, it was closed for pretty much all summer. But a lot of work went on there, improving all the infrastructure in that road right away. So water, sewer, road, sidewalks, It was a great effort where we all worked together and we received many awards. And again, just one recently, which we weren't expecting. We figured this project was behind us. So again, just trying to keep up our efforts and working with others. Next slide, please. All right, moving on to funding. Just want to share with the board our main sources of funding. There's really three. So MTF, which is Michigan Transportation Fund. I'll get into that just a minute to more detail, but that's really our bread and butter, our main source of funding. Currently, it's at $28 million a year. It's not guaranteed funding. It's based off basically vehicle registration and gas tax. So as long as people are driving vehicles and paying their registration fees, we're funded, but we don't know to what degree. We just base our budget off of recent history. We also apply for a lot of grants, primarily through Federal Highway and Michigan Department of Transportation. And those can vary from year to year, but in this year, it looks like we're at 3.9 million that they're contributing to our primary road projects. And then God bless our townships. They've been great to work with over the years. That number just continues to go up. They understand the need on the local roadside. So our townships are spending a significant amount of money, well over matching the road commission in some cases on our local road system. And then real quick, if you back up just a second, almost the biggest one of the bunch, the $25 million grant. I'll talk about that in a minute, but that's a safety grant. We were just awarded in 2024. We're still working on the agreement and the details to get that in motion and moving forward. But potentially over the next 5 years, we could see a significant amount of improvements on our roads related to safety. All right, next slide, please. There we go. All right, really just sharing in this pie chart our two major sources of funding, and I kind of already alluded to it, but at the $28 million a year that we receive from the state for our MTF, our Michigan Transportation Fund, it used to be gas tax was the largest portion of that funding. It's been recently surpassed by vehicle registration. So, but they're pretty much neck and neck. You can see 41% of the total. And then there's some significant amount that comes through some redirected income tax. Next slide, please. All right, service requests. This is really how we gauge and track our schedules and the work that needs to be done on the road outside of two major operations. One is winter maintenance, because we never know when and how much. And then also in our summer operations, we do a lot of construction work, particularly chip seal, which takes a significant amount of time with our team to get that type of work done. So our service requests are the daily calls that come in. Some are significant, some are insignificant, but we track them all. We also track these service requests internally. We use the same system as our team are eyes and ears out on the road, along with all the motoring public. So we're using the same system, and we're knowing how to tally up and which category we need to budget and spend our time and efforts. What's interesting is if you look, 5,700 service requests in 2024. So we take a lot of calls, right? We respond to a lot of situations. I'm sure you folks get some calls too, right? Related to roads. Hopefully that's the minority. You're not getting 5,700. Hopefully you're getting 57, I'm hoping, or less, maybe 5, I don't know. But anyway, what I want to really draw out here is look at the number one service request. It's not potholes, it's not winter maintenance, it's not signs. Those are typically the top 3 other than trees. Trees by far surpass any other activity. And what's interesting is trees aren't literally in the road, right? Our core responsibilities in the road surface, and these are outside of the road surface. But a lot of times they're falling into the road, and that's when we respond. So, some days I think we ought to be the tree commission, not the road commission. So, all right, next slide, please. All right, one more piece of the service request. I'm flipping forward to 2025. So you saw the average from 2024. This is our service request log for this year to date by township. And as you can see, trees are not winning in every category, but they will. Just give them a little bit of time. Once the foliage gets on the trees, we get a few windstorms, a couple rainstorms throughout the summer. They'll take off in all the townships and surpass the rest. But really, what I want to point out is it's, again, pretty consistent. Really, our top hitters are trees, potholes, winter maintenance, and gravel roads. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So this is a great example. We had a storm, if you recall, about 2.5 weeks ago. I think it started on a Thursday night, ended early Friday morning. Our crews worked continuously. It took us 32 hours. We had all our crew in, again, through shifts. They did get some breaks along the way. But we actually got a total amount. It's 450 trees that came down in that time period. That's 14 trees per hour that we had to push off for that 32 hours. These are the types of events that make those service requests skyrocket and cost a lot of money to clean up in the long run. Our work in that 32 hours was simply to push the trees to the edge of the road. It wasn't to clean the trees up. It was just to try to get emergency services, the vehicles up and down the roads, right, so they could pass. There's still a lot of work to do to get the entire storm cleaned up, and it could take months. But just wanted to share because that's a good example of what drives the tree service request so high. Next slide, please. All right, non-motorized. A few things to share here. Some examples. This is where the road commission really gets into that more of assistance and support. County Parks has been working for many years on the Kalamazoo River Valley Trail. They have numerous segments complete. We're down to, I think, the last 2 segments heading towards Augusta. So we're going to get there. But the road commission gets involved in that, right? We're the Act 51 agency. The dollars flow through the road commission. So we try to help keep those projects moving along. Also, Ashtamo, very active in non-motorized. You can see they're spending millions of dollars. KL, 9th Street, and Stadium Driver are really their key areas they're focusing on. And then now Texas is working on their master plan. So our team will be working with them also. Next slide, please. All right, so you can see here a map of Kalamazoo County, and you can see all the outlined roads in yellow. So this is a non-motorized network or a bike network that the road commission worked to put together for the residents of Kalamazoo County. We designated these roads. They're not all primary roads, some are local roads, but based on safety, our engineers determined that these were the best roads to travel for non-motorized, particularly bicycles, but also for vehicles, because it needs to be safe for both a non-motorized and motorized, and then also offer a sense of connectivity. So if you're going to go ride these roads, you can actually get back to where you came from. So next slide, please. So with that routing system, we also included signage. So I'm sure many of you have probably seen these bike route signs. So at every intersection where these bike routes are located, there will be signage. There's a little over 500 signs throughout the county. Next slide, please. All right, back to what we call SS4A, which stands for Safe Streets and Roads for All. So it's a safety grant that we applied for back in 2023. And we did that knowing that, looking at this infomercial here, and I know it's busy, so I'm just going to pick out a couple key pieces of it. We have had, in recent years, over 1,700 vehicle crashes per year in Kalamazoo County. 80% of those 1,700 on our primary roads, right, our busier roads, and 31% are single vehicle lane departures. So that means they're not crashing into somebody else. They're probably on their phones, right, distracted driving, whatever, and they're running off the road and they're hitting an object, generally a tree or a mailbox or a rock, or could be another vehicle. But we're seeing a lot of those single vehicle lane departures. And of those, 50% of them were either fatal or serious injuries. So knowing that, it was a great way for us to segue into a grant application for the Safe Streets for All program, which is a federal program. Next slide, please. And just to share a little bit about this program, again, in 2023, we applied for this grant, and in doing so, we had to create this traffic safety action plan. So it pulled together all the data that supported the need to improve the safety on our roads here in Kalamazoo County. We were awarded the grant in 2024 for $25 million. And if you go to the next slide, there's a map of all the roads that are included in this grant. There's actually 130 miles of road that we will be improving over the next 5 years with this grant program. Now, various types of fixes on these 130 miles. Some are road reconstruction projects, some are shoulder widening. We have some what we call clear zone improvements. So the runoffs that we're seeing on our roadway, clear zone improvements, folks, is tree removals, right? People are running off the road and hitting trees that are close to the road. So we're removing a considerable amount of trees within the road right away as part of the safety project. We're also putting rumble strips, center line and edge line in most cases, on a majority of these miles of road. Again, trying to warn the motorists that they're going to run off the road so they don't hit an object and hopefully can get back into their lane. We also have pavement marking and signage as part of this project. Next slide, please. All right, I'll just go through these real quick. I think there's 3 or 4 major projects for this year. This is our G Avenue project from M343 to M96. There's numerous locations where we're doing intersection improvements with center turn lanes. Next slide, please. And this is our Sprinkle Road project. This is the last phase of Sprinkle Road, where we're putting that center line and edge line rumble strip in like a concrete median area. We started this process quite a few years ago between East Main and East Michigan, because we've seen a lot of head-on collisions, and creating this really is more of a visual barrier along with the rumble strips. Has significantly reduced those types of crashes. So we've continued this process throughout this limited access portion of Sprinkle Road, which extends from Business Loop 94 on up to G Avenue. All right, next slide, please. And there's 2 more major projects. These are both reconstruction type projects. This is in Pavilion Township, 2.5 miles of road we're reconstructing. Approximately $2.8 million. This project, along with the next one I'm going to share, were both roads without paved shoulders, but they were part of the bike route network. So with the improvements, they'll both have paved shoulders on both these segments of road. Next slide, please. And this is the 4th project, similar to the Q Avenue project, same process, just a shorter segment of road. This is over in Schoolcraft Township. Trying to make that connection on U Avenue and TU between Sprinkle and Portage Road. So one more phase and we'll have this project completed. So this is just a quick snapshot of our primary road projects for 2025. And really all I want to share here is, if you look the 3rd column from the right, if you look down, there's what we call a mix of fixes. So quite a variety of projects we're doing there, whether it's bridge maintenance, culvert replacements, HMA, which is hot mix asphalt projects. Next slide, please. All right, so this is the first day view of this video. So we're going to play it just real quick. Road Commission gets a lot of calls, a lot of questions about chip seal and fog seal, right? The nuisance versus the benefit. And this is just a communication tool. I say just, I think it's a pretty neat communication tool that our public relations director and his team came up with here just recently. So this is the first time it's going to be aired. So I think it's about 2 minutes long.
Welcome to your quick guide on
Dina, I think that,
Straight
there we go.
with asphalt emulsion.
Then it is immediately covered with crushed stone, also called aggregate, by our chip spreader. Next, we roll the stone into place. This creates a tight, protective layer that shields the road from water, sun damage, and wear and tear. Without protection, water can seep in and freeze, causing cracks and potholes. But with chip seal, we seal the surface, preventing damage before it starts. We apply chip seal on roads that may need attention, but not to the point of needing a large project. It is one of the most cost-friendly treatments. We also apply chip seal 1 to 2 years after a new asphalt surface is laid, to help preserve that surface even longer. By acting early, we save money on repairs like crack filling and wedging, and keep the surface in better shape longer. Chip seal is one of the most cost-effective ways to preserve our road network. It uses fewer materials, requires less energy than full resurfacing, and extends pavement life up to 10 years. Fresh chip seal may look unfinished, but don't worry, it's part of the process. It's completely safe to drive on. Just slow down, avoid sharp turns, and give it a few days to settle. Also, please don't walk barefoot or let pets walk on freshly sealed roads. The asphalt emulsion can reach up to 165 degrees Fahrenheit. To improve your driving experience, in many cases we add a fog seal on top of chip seal. Fog seal is a light coat of diluted asphalt. It locks in loose stones, reduces dust, and gives the road a clean, black appearance, like fresh pavement. We use chip and fog seal as part of a mix of fixes, choosing the right treatment for the right road at the right time. It's not just maintenance, it's smart asset management that protects your tax dollars in your drive. Thanks for doing your part by slowing down in work zones and staying informed. Together, we're preserving Kalamazoo County's roads for today, tomorrow, and the years to come. You can learn more on our website. Thank you for watching and drive safe.
All right, well, you'll have to rank this for us afterwards, so tell us where we need to improve. All right. Just a couple more quick slides, I think, and we're done here. All right, ways to contact the road commission, and you folks know how to do that probably in other ways, right? So our direct phone number, we have website, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. I can't see what the last one is there, but obviously great ways to get a hold of us. And I will say too, we say this everywhere we go, we are emergency response 24/7. If there is an emergency after hours, don't be afraid to call. We are not staffed after hours, except in the winter. And even then, we don't have a dispatcher after hours. So 911 Central Dispatch is our dispatcher after hours. Feel free to call them. I know it's tough to call 911 when it may not be an immediate emergency, but it could become an emergency. They're our after hours dispatcher. They'll get a hold of us. It's really not that big a deal. So please share that around. We get a lot of calls in our office after the fact that we wish we would have gotten sooner. So next slide, please. All right, we're hiring. Yeah, if you know anybody looking for a job, we are looking for a road maintenance operator and a mechanic at this time. We've had a couple of recent retirements. So with that, if you go to the next slide, I actually have our operations team working at a My Works job fair. This was this year, trying to recruit some new staff. So hopefully something will become of that. So we are interviewing at this point. So, but there are, again, a couple opportunities. Next slide, please. And then another great tool that we try to keep sharing around, if you're really interested in road closures, general information, project information, if you sign up for this RCKC Connect, it automatically notifies you when there's changes on our road system. So if you're looking to know when roads are closed or you want an update on a particular project, feel free to sign up, and it'll give you this message either by email, text, or a phone call. Next slide, please. Okay, that's it. So any questions for the road commission? I have the whole team here tonight. So
Managing Director, thank you for your presentation. Do we have questions from the commission? Vice Chair Pro Tem. Should defer to Commissioner DeLu.
Going by age here. Well, thank you for the presentation. I know some people haven't had positive experiences, but I've had nothing but positive experiences with the road commission, especially Tom Brennan, who recently left, and Mr. Warden, who can handle the unruly township crowd that I've seen more than once. So just 2 questions. We have 2 apparently serious or critical bridges in the county. Is this, how critical are they, I guess, is the question.
Are these bridges that are currently closed?
I have no idea. I'm just going by your chart here.
I'm going to assume it's the 2 bridges that are closed. They're both on the local road system. One's in Pavilion Township, the other one's in Waukesha Township. And it's that ever struggle with our smaller townships to be able to fund large projects. When we talk bridge replacements nowadays, we automatically say $1 million. Now, maybe it's 800,000, but it's probably no less than that. And these are on roads, rural roads that probably see less than 100 cars a day. So the chances of those roads ever receiving funding to be reopened are very challenging, right, at this point. So we are working at trying to seek some funding to remove the bridges. And really, which seems backwards, but it's really the first step in moving forward. So if we can at least get the old bridges out of the way, maybe there will be an opportunity with a program someday to replace them.
Okay, I have one more question. I represent a couple of townships, and one of them is discussing a possible road millage. So just because a township raises more money, can they just come to you and say, okay, we have this money, we want you to do these projects, or how does that fit in your?
Sure. Well, if there's townships interested in millages, we are more than willing to help educate. We can't advocate, but we can educate, right? So we can help put together data. We can hold meetings, share the need. We can do the planning end of it. Really, what we like to do is build a plan that meets the millage. So a good example, Waukesha Township has a 10-year road millage. We worked with Waukesha to build a 10-year road plan, right? And that was something that they could take to the voters to help sell the need. So Commissioner DeLu, we're more than willing to help. I would assume most townships know we're out there and they're a good resource for them. But I've seen others that try to do it on their own, and it's difficult because they don't have the data. They don't have the Mark Wardens of the world, right, to help share that information. So yeah, if there's particular townships that are looking down that road, feel free to let us know. We'll reach out and help them.
Vice Chair Pro Tem, and then to Commissioner Wheeler, and then Gisler.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation. Very well done. I'll use Commissioner Gisler's silver tongue devil. But we appreciate the collaboration. I've had a lot of good comments from my area, from my township supervisors, from our local folks, and we appreciate the collaboration in partnering to do the chip sealing. Since you have the equipment, it saves us a few $100 million to buy toys that we use once or twice a year. So I think it's important that we collaborate as we work to keep our roads in the kind of shape we need to be. And you aren't far off. We just finished our Washington Street Primary Road bridge, and it was a little over $1 million, 200,000, give or take $1.298. So didn't know 26 feet could cost that much. But it isn't. We got comments last night at the village council meeting about how great it was to have that road reopened. The safety issue, our fire department's saying that it's going to save time for them getting to scenes because they can now drive a fire truck across there. Before, they would be lucky if they could drive a grass truck across a 1-lane 5-ton bridge. So it is important, and we look forward to your continued support and working together to get our roads safe. Obviously, education is the first key, engineering and maintenance to keep our roads safe, and then enforcement are keep things for our traffic, our motoring public. So thank you.
Commissioner Wheeler.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your presentation. It was fantastic. I've been working for some time on ideas for improving non-motorized in Kalamazoo County, and I would love to see some collaboration between us as the county and the road commission to put Kalamazoo County on the map when it comes to biking. And I know you guys have spent a lot of time and money and energy into putting bike route signs up, which is great. And I think we could have some real conversation about making places destination centers, right? So when folks are going down and they're in the middle of nowhere, South County, they know how to get to Portage, or they know how to get to Vicksburg, because that will also drive these bicyclists to our centers where they're going to spend money and they're going to see our beautiful county. And so I think there is a great opportunity here for all of us to collaborate on doing something more robust than just those bike route signs, right? Those are great. Those let people know that this is a bike route. That's step one of this whole process. I think we can take it even further and go, mile marker signs saying in this bike route, you're 5 miles from, the center of Portage, or whatever each municipality wants themselves to be called. And I know that folks who bike would appreciate that. So just want to throw that idea out there and maybe have some collaboration on that. I think I had another question, but I cannot remember. I also do want to say, I do apologize, everyone. I do have to go back to work. I'm being recalled. There is a structure fire within my township, so I apologize.
Thanks for your service, Commissioner Wheeler. We appreciate it. Commissioner Gisler.
Thank you, Chair. Travis, good stuff. I worked for 40 years in the pharmaceutical business, did advertising brochures for physicians, pharmacists, hospitals, and whatever. And yours is magnificent. It's not eloquent, but it gets all the information right there, and it's kind of in your face. And to not know what's in here, you got to be looking hard not to see it. One question I have for you is, what is the number currently of townships that have their own road millage out of the 15?
Well, I can't give you an exact number because they come and go, right? And they're not all road millages. Some are like township-wide special assessments, and some are using case law to be able to support assessing for more dollars, right? So, but as far as additional funding, I'm just going to throw a number out there that's probably somewhat close. There's probably 5 for the 15.
Thank you.
Currently.
Thanks.
Vice Chair.
Thank you. I have a couple questions and then a comment. I'll start with a comment. Really appreciate, I know that it's probably temporary, but you've moved towards less of a brush and more of a mechanical for limb removal. I've gotten a couple compliments actually from people about that, and just outside of my district. So thank you. As you move into hopefully the next sort of funding round, if you can find ways to boost up the mechanical aspect of tree removal, I think it's better for the environment. I think it's better for long term. My question had to do with MS4 and specifically how it's being enforced by the state with all the culverts and wells. We're kind of struggling with it here at the county. How are you guys navigating that process? Is it going to take additional staffing on your side in order to be compliant with all the testing that they require, the state requires? I believe it's MS4, the water testing.
It is. So we've recently renewed our MS4 permit, but I think it's almost due again because it was a long time getting the last permit. And it's a challenge. Eagle's been a challenge to work with. There were sometimes requiring more than the minimum standard, which can be difficult because you're correct. It takes staff time and dollars to be able to do that. So we've worked really hard at this last permit to try to negotiate what that permit looks like, but yet still be reasonable. And we do know it's going to cost us more money, right? More staff time to do this additional testing. And it's particularly for E. coli. So we're somewhat limited because we don't have that many outfalls into the waters of the state. Most of our outfall into a contained retention basin, or it's a dry well, so that it's not really outletting into a river or a stream. But we still have quite a few that we still have to manage. So
Well, you look at it, and I'm shocked that, quite frankly, shocked that there hasn't been more reporting on this from local media or from the state media. I mean, it's one of the largest unfunded mandates that the state has imposed upon local jurisdictions in the last 10 years. You look at all the school districts, all the cities and villages, the road commission. I mean, it is going to turn into a huge, if we don't regionalize or find a way to address this problem regionally. I just see it as they get more and more stringent on the compliant aspect of it and the permitting aspect of it. I mean, looking not just how do we get 1 year at a time or a couple of years at a time, but where is this trajectory going, and how do we kind of tackle this in a 3 to 5 year process? And I think it's going to take the school districts, the county road commission, and the counties and the cities to really all work together on staff time and logistical problems on that. So that's, at least in my mind, I see that as a emerging challenge that's going to be facing all of us in the coming years. I had one more comment or question. Oh, it's probably not to deal with the road commission. It's more with street signs for fire departments. So I'll save that for new business. I don't think it really pertains to you guys as much, but thank you for all you do.
yes, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. So I'll have a couple as well. The dialogue about the impact of the trees in the roadway. I'm just wondering, as a trend, has that always dominated the call response needed by the road commission? Do we see that escalating? Is it, to what extent is it escalating? I want to understand both the cost and safety impacts that trees in the road are having, just so we kind of have an eye on that as we're planning around safety response going forward.
Sure. So I think if you look, at trees that are compromised within the road right of way, that typically fall in a short duration, I don't think you could say there's a significant increase. But so my time of service at the road commission in the last 30 years, I can definitely say there's been a significant increase. Last 5 years, probably pretty much status quo, but back then we didn't see near as many trees that would fall within the road right away. Reason being, trees are more mature than they were, right? The program that we've used to manage it, which is a chemical application, doesn't remove the limb, it removes the foliage, right? And when we started the program, there was already mature trees with limbs over the road. So now we have dead limbs over the road. And then the cost of it all, we're on a 3-year cycle, right, to try to combat all this additional tree growth. And we were losing the battle. And we were spending $400,000 a year trying to do a chemical brush spray. Now, I'll just share the direction we're heading. We're looking at more of a mechanical type cut versus the brush spray. First of all, to get rid of those large dead limbs, to get rid of the dead trees in general. Any brush less than 6 inches in diameter. We love trees, but they really can't be within the road right away because they're all going to fall in the road, right? And if you folks can all recall, we had a triple fatality here just recently in Climax Township with a tree that fell on a vehicle. It happens pretty often. We've just been fortunate not to have a triple fatality. A lot of times it's just an injury. So anyways, back to mechanical versus a brush spray program. We're trying to get caught up in really bring the right of way back to an open area where the trees aren't canopied over the road. They're more vertical, so there's less chances of trees falling in the roadway. And really, most of it's limbs. I'm going to tell you 80 to 90% of the work that we've done so far is removing large limbs from big trees that are really hanging low over the road. We have to maintain them at 13'6" because that's the height of a vehicle. But you take limbs that are 14, 15 feet above the road and with leaves on them and heavy foliage, or particularly if we get an early snow with leaves on, those limbs are now down to 12 feet and they're damaging equipment.
Just on balance, the other considerations, and maybe these are conversations to have with other partners, with our planning, our climate sustainability team in the county, with our townships, minimizing the limited access to our roads during emergencies is really critical. But also, if we hedge all of the trees where they're not over roads at all, we're exacerbating the heat intensity off of the asphalt back up into the atmosphere. If you do that to how many thousands of miles of road? 26,000 or something?
Yeah, it's 1,270, but I think it's
Okay,
going
there
to
we
take
go.
us 1,270
Doubling it
years to
almost.
get there. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of surface area, and trees do provide a, positive climate impact. So we've got to work to mitigate the two. So thank you for that. I wondered also if you could speak briefly to how community members do have the opportunity to move community petitions forward for specific projects that they'd like to see done. And my understanding is it's then the local municipality or the residents interested in the project's responsibility to cover the cost. But can you talk briefly about that? I continue to hear concerns about traffic congestions and speed on Nichols Road. I know in Westwood, and I want to thank Chair Pulowski for attending the Westwood Neighborhood Association meeting recently. I want to understand just those mechanisms for community voice, and if there's been any dialogue with Kalamazoo Township about reduction in the speed to Nichols Road. They have the ability now to do that. There was legislation passed to support that. So if you could speak to those for me, thank you.
Well, I think, the first part of your question, Commissioner Strebs, is more of the special assessment process, I think is what you're referring to. Typically, it's used on the local road system, but there's no reason it couldn't be used on the primary road system also, right? So if there was some type of improvement that could, in this case, slow the speed of traffic, right, as part of a project, that our engineering team could validate and deem safe, we absolutely could move forward with a project like that. Great example would be like a roundabout, right? Roundabout slow traffic. So if there was an intersection on Nichols Road that we could install a roundabout that potentially would slow traffic, that's a way that maybe the community could work with the road commission and help fund something like that.
Well, just an FYI on my dream list, that Ravine and Nichols intersection, that traffic is backing way up the hill past Grand Prairie very frequently there. The last, I just want to elevate Commissioner Wheeler's commentary about the destination markers on the bike signage. It's also something I'd like to see future dialogue about. Commissioner Morales.
Thank you, Chair. Great presentation. I just want to give a shout out to the Road Commission board. In the last couple times that I've had to reach out to a commissioner, my constituents and even not my constituents have received a prompt response, especially during this last storm where folks who aren't used to being affected by trees in their yard or over their houses to see if they were in the road commission's jurisdiction will qualify for tree removal. The fact that I don't know, was it a database you put them in or inquiry? And it was a fast turnaround to let them know, nope, you need to contact someone else. So thanks, Chair Pulowski, Commissioner Dickinson, for always answering my call and coming through for folks who, just don't know what to do during those times. So thank you.
Commissioner Angelou, Commissioner Kistler.
Since Chair Strebs brought it up, I actually received a call today and I want to direct the person the right way because speed is always an issue. And this person lives on a road, the speed limit is 55. Of course, they want to see it lowered. So it's not really like a service request from the road commission. Where should I
That's
direct
exactly,
this person.
that's exactly where it should start, as a service request.
Okay.
It'll go to our engineering team. They'll review it, they'll respond to the individual and let them know what the process is.
All right, great, thank you.
Commissioner Kistler.
I have two questions now after that response. I thought the state police always set the speed limits everywhere.
They do, and that's what we would do, is work with the state police, right?
Oh, okay.
Um,
I just thought
so-
maybe something had
but
changed that I was unaware of.
Yeah, we don't just pass the buck, right? We share the process and what it takes to make that recommendation. And then we do pass it up to the state police, and they'll do a traffic study and make the determination.
Okay, and generally that's going to take at least a year.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
The other question that I initially wanted to ask before you got it stirred up about the, having to do with trees, and throw cold water on me if my memory is not good, but I thought I remember a few years ago, pre-COVID, that you had an arborist, a county hiree, not an employee, I don't believe, come in and talk about the number of trees that are in various states of causing danger. Some serious, some not too serious, but as you say, trees grow. And I thought I remember him saying that the number of trees that should receive attention were monies unlimited would be 167,000 trees in the county of Kalamazoo. Is that baloney?
No, it's not baloney at all, right? And a typical tree costs $1,800 to remove. So if you do the math, it's just not reasonable to do it in any short period of time. But we got to get started at it, right? We can't just keep saying it needs to happen. So that's where we're working at, really trying to do the pruning. We still have a contract forester that works for the road commission. He reviews all of our tree related service requests to determine if the trees need to be removed, if they are compromised, if they are diseased. We depend on them as the professionals to tell us that.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Vice Chair and then Commissioner Morales.
Really quick, I'm glad to hear about the more mechanicalized as less of the herbicide type system, because I think we were trying to save nickels and dimes over many years, and it's caught up to us with dead limbs hanging over trees all the time. My second comment is actually to this county commission, and a compliment to you guys. The way that you distribute your PAR grants and the way that you have townships apply to that, I think is truly commendable. I don't know of any other road commissions, or maybe there are some now that are emulating that, but I think it's a really good system in that it allows some of the smaller townships without the resources in order to compete and do the types of projects that they need to do, the Waukeshamas, the Alamos, so that they can compete in these projects. ARPA money has already gone and spent, but as we kind of move forward and looking at how we can locally improve our roads, direct contributions from the county to those PAR funds, I think would be the most impactful way to do that as we look at future budgets and everything else. But I appreciate your work. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Morales.
Thank you, Chair. So last question, as you mentioned that we'll be preparing for several windstorms and storms throughout the summer and winter. How can we prepare constituents to look out for signs that someone should come out and take a look at? I know you're not an arborist, but what steps could we take if we see something over the road? Is that just a service request, or, how do we look at a tree and say, you know what, maybe somebody need to come take a look for this next storm?
So really, it's a judgment call, right? If the resident thinks it's a serious concern, they should be calling us immediately. If it's after hours, they should call 911. We'll come take a look, because we'd rather be safe than sorry, and wish we would have come at least taken a look at it. If it's not so much of a serious concern that's an immediate need, a service request would be just fine.
Commissioner Kistler.
Thank you for humoring me, Chair. The kinds of trimming that you're now beginning, I had a chance to drive, because you told me, you said this is what we're shooting for over the long run, between the Village of Scots and W Avenue on 36th Street. And I did drive that twice in the last month. And it's kind of spectacular. You know, my wife is big on the arc over the tree or the road and the tunnel view and that sort of stuff. Well, you guys didn't have any tunnel view there. You went through, and I don't know what the gadget was like, but I'll bet it's something impressive. And everything you could see from W almost up to the village of Scotts, and you didn't see anything arcing over the road. So if that's where we're headed, you know, I endorse that. And I know every farmer in the county endorses it because their equipment has gotten bigger as the trees have gotten lower, and it's a hazard for them and their employees and for other people that share the roads.
So
Thanks.
You probably heard my phone go off twice. Those are 911 calls. So I'm sorry.
All right, I'm
Probably
gonna go
trees.
Commissioner DeLu, and then we should try to move our.
This
our
is more of a
agenda.
public service announcement, because I also sit on the board for Central Dispatch. And unless a tree is causing imminent danger, don't call 911. Call the non-emergency
Well,
number,
right, there is a non-emergency, right, for our after hours. I think it's
488
AI now,
8911.
right? So the AI will help you through that
Yeah,
process.
but if you call, yeah, you don't want to call, appreciate if they didn't call 911, but anyway, thank you.
Good. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, managing director.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate
The
your time.
information and collaboration. Thank you. All right. Right, we're gonna go back to our agenda. We're gonna take it now back to finish out item 5. Our second item here is a request for $2 million from the opioid settlement fund allocation to support recovery housing infrastructure. And we're gonna hear from Deputy County Administrator Lindy Smith.
Hi, good evening. So in your packet, I provided a brief of a proposal that's come forward. This is a request for $2 million from the opioid settlement allocations that we have to support recovery housing infrastructure. I'm happy to expand upon a little bit more, but I think first there's quite a few details in that brief. So if there's any questions that you'll have in particular, I'd be happy to answer those.
Do we have any questions from the commission? Vice Chair.
Just a comment. I'm okay with this. I'm not like overly enthusiastic about going from the smallest contributor to they lost $4 million from an EPA, or I think it was an EPA grant. And to make up that $4 million hole, they need at least $2 million immediately, or they're going to lose out on LIHTC money. The whole project will pretty much crumble. I'm okay with this. I really do wish that this company had a nonprofit arm that was building it. I do have a little bit of reservation about giving such a large amount of money to a two-profit organization. That being said, if we don't act on this, the city of Kalamazoo has put in money, the state of Michigan has put in money, everybody has put in. These large number of funders have come together to try to make this project whole. And I think we're the ones that can keep it together. I've got no problem with it coming from the opioid settlement task force dollars. I think that's the most appropriate place that it could come from. But I just, moving on in the future, I really hope that these development arms and these people put together a nonprofit arm of their company so that we're not donating or contributing such a large amount of money to a two-profit company. That also being said, with that 4 million hole, as they garner, and I hopefully in this agreement that if they fundraise over that 2 million, they're able to resecure the EPA grant money, or they're able to get some of those grant money, that we would then be able or have the ability to take back or claw back a portion of that 2 million and put it back into the opioid force money, so that those opioid task force would last a longer period of time. So as we're developing those agreements, I hope that, you know, if they get over their goal, that they kind of refund us, because I think we're kind of stuck into a position that we have to do this in order to do this is a really good big thing for the community. I just hate being the one carrying the biggest rocks on my shoulders, so to speak. But that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Other comments or questions? Right, I'll just elevate. I'm in very strong support of moving this recommendation forward. I do want to also, you know, focus a couple things. The work of the opioid settlement task force, we clearly identified over and over in discussion the need for housing in the continuum to address substance misuse in the community. And, you know, I hope that we'd find collaborative ways to use housing millage funds and other available resources to advance those types of initiatives. This is one of those types of developments that does have you know, we heard from Vice Chair, the broad collaboration across the local and state and previously the federal government to advance this particular project. We know that the federal government has changed its focus, and there is very important funding threatened in a number of avenues, and we're going to need to problem solve that as a community and figure out what we continue to value and what we prioritize to replace. I think this is one of those opportunities to do that. We have additional settlements that we are expecting to see come to resolution for the opioid settlement fund that we think should keep us on track with the projected budget and timeline that we had already established for that fund. And we'll have future dialogues about that. The other is just the notion about profit and for-profit status. You know, a building, a for-profit development is taxable and continues to feed resources into the millage fund and into sports and services. The question about a development really should be about what does it accomplish and how affordable is it? And this was one of the few developments that we looked at across our portfolios that prioritized much more deeply affordable units and also addressed the issues related to substance use. So for me, it's a heck yes. And I hope we'll support that. And I appreciate the dialogue and the thoughtfulness. Thank you.
Okay, so with that, what we'll do is at the upcoming agenda, bring forward the item for y'all to approve that allocation and start working with Corporation Council on developing an agreement that would be forthcoming as well.
Vice Chair.
Corporate, just probably more directed to a corporation council, but as we're developing that agreement, can we put in place, or is it possible to put into place something that if they collect on their fundraising campaign over their projected amount, that we necessarily don't have to give them the full 2 million? I'm assuming this is a reimbursement basis, correct?
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Vice Chair Taylor, I did make a note to address that, and we will discuss that as we move forward with tailoring the agreement and see if that is something that we can do. I can't answer to that right now, and I do apologize for that, but we will definitely look at that question.
Okay, thank you very much. My vote for in favor of this is contingent upon that. So.
All right. I think there's nothing further. With that, we have no closed session needed. Pardon me. Brings us to the end of this agenda for Committee of the Whole. We are adjourned. All right, I'm going to call us to order of the Kalamazoo County Board of Commissioners regular meeting for June 3rd, 2025. First item on our agenda is our invocation and reflection. So I'd like to welcome Pastor Michael Brown from the Gospel Mission. Please join us. There's a little person on the stage. Press that. You got it. Welcome, Pastor.
Thank you. I'm old-headed this time. Let's pray. God, as we come this evening, we are grateful. Just God, so grateful just for who you are and for who you are in our lives, God. We're grateful, God, for the way that you have covered us as a city and as a community, the way that you continue to provide for us. This evening, God, as we come together, I pray, God, that you would give wisdom to the members of this commission and the community that are here. I pray, God, that their wisdom is in alignment with your will for us. I pray, God, that you would cause them to hear from each other. We call agreement, God, around wisdom for the decisions that are made tonight. And we give you praise for this opportunity in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Thank you. We'll go to item 3, which is roll call. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Gisler,
Here.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler, Commissioner Mazer,
Here.
Commissioner Morales,
Present.
Commissioner Ray,
Present.
Chair Strebs,
Here.
Vice Chair Taylor,
Here.
Commissioner Wheeler, Commissioner DeLue.
Here.
8 present.
Thank you, Clerk. We'll go to item 4, which is proclamations. We have item 2025-583, request for approval of Elder Abuse Awareness Month proclamation for 2025. Moved by Commissioner Morales, supported by Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Right.
That means you can't abuse me anymore.
Yeah. All right, we'll go to item 5 is for communications. There are none. Do commissioners have anything they want to elevate for communications? Commissioner Morales.
Yes, thank you. I was in the neighborhood going up Gold Road. So our county animal control wanted to send a message that they have free microchips for pets that they're installing for free. They've been at all the pet food, pet supply or pet marts, Pepco. And so they had a grant that they have, and they have about 300 chips left. So you can either call them or look out for them at some of these pet stores, but those are free.
Thank you. And I'm just going to take a privilege. I just want to recognize we do have Don Saldias, Director of Area Agency on Aging. Do you want to speak to the elder abuse? I didn't mean to sort of run right over that, so my apologies to you, but please welcome if you'd like to speak for a moment. We love you. I'll entertain.
Well, commissioners, thank you so much for the approval of the proclamation. Looking at Commissioner Gisler, he's going to make a comment at me. Didn't. Well, why this means so much? Well, actually, this is gonna go into my statistic where I believe it is about 1 in 23 cases of elder abuse are actually reported. So this is why it's so important for this proclamation, is because all the data that we have, that we see, that we know it's happening, all the statistics, all the reports with Adult Protective Services, those are all of the cases that we are simply made aware of. Those cases that are actually being reported. So when we think about our community and really advocating for the needs of our older adults, these type of proclamations are so important because it raises that awareness and it recognizes that we as a community care for not just our young or, those in college or those in high school, but really through the whole aging spectrum here. So really it's things like this that support that when we publicly say it really truly makes us an excellent and extraordinary county to be in. So of course, on behalf of the Aging Services with Health and Community Services, truly thank you for the support. And we look forward to, of course, providing services in the area so we can, of course, all age in our community and continue to be part of our community. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I have your proclamation. I'm going to come and present that to you.
Oh, great. Yes.
There we go. Yeah. Thanks for your grace and let me fumble back to get that done a little bit better. All right, excellent. Yeah. Thank you, commissioners, for that. All right, we have completed item 5. We're going to go to item 6, approval of minutes. So we have a request for approval of the May 20th, 2025 Committee of the Whole and regular meeting draft minutes and the May 21st, 2025 Intergovernmental Roundtable Ad Hoc Committee draft meeting minutes.
I move that we approve the Committee of the Whole and regular meeting draft minutes for May 21st, 2025. I think got to be 2 separate motions, I think.
So motion made by Vice Chair Taylor, supported by Commissioner Morales for the approval of the Committee of the Whole and regular meeting draft minutes for May 21st, 2025. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Now entertain a motion for the May 21st, 2025 Intergovernmental Roundtable Ad Hoc Committee draft meeting minutes. Motion made by Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler, supported by Vice Chair Taylor. Any further discussion? Yes, Commissioner Ray.
Wrong in a minute.
The intergovernmental minutes. Thank you. We'll make sure that that's addressed and we'll approve them as amended. Thank you for that. Any others? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, now we'll go to request for approval of the May 29th, 2025 Youth Sports Facility Ad Hoc Committee draft meeting minutes.
So moved.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Morales, supported by Vice Chair Taylor. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. We'll go to item 7, approval of the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda as presented. Support.
Motion by Vice Chair Taylor, supported by Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Further discussion? All those in favor of the agenda as presented signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. go to item 8, presentations. There are none. To item 9, for public hearings, there is none. Brings us to item 10, public comment. Public comment can be made in person or by phone if you are attending virtually. Members can call 855-925-2801, enter meeting code 10748, and press *3 to join the speaker queue. Callers may request to join the speaker queue at any time before our final public comment period in this meeting ends. Speakers will be recognized in the order they're received. Please, whether you join us in person or virtually, share your name, where you're from, 3 minutes to address the board, and give us feedback in a professional and respectful manner. Welcome to you, Mary. Welcome up.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair, Vice Chair Pro Tem, Board of Commissioners. My name is Mary Balkema. I live in the city of Kalamazoo, and I'm here to talk about our AmpliFund portal, which is open for funding. So we opened it on 6/2. It'll close on 7/3. We have 3 funding categories: multifamily, supportive services, and the creative project, as you gave direction in your last meeting. So we hope that we get some really good applications. And I'd also like to thank you for your deliberations on the opioid settlement money going into the Cal Recovery Project. As you know, we have housing millage dollars that you've allocated. We have ARPA money. The city has ARPA money. And time is of the essence because that ARPA money does have a deadline of December 31st, 2026. So thank you very much for doing that. There's a couple of projects that broke ground that you have significant funding in. One is the Mount Zion Hollander project. So that site is cleared on Burdick Street, and I think it's north, that whole block. So that's 72 units of senior housing, where we also have vouchers, a super exciting project. And we also did the ribbon cutting on the Portage and Stanley project last week. And so that will be 42 homes of brand new homes, the developers AVB, and the first 4 will start. And you allocated money for down payment assistance to go to KNHS. And so I would really encourage, if you know anyone that could be eligible or is bankable or who wants to live there, they're taking names with the city of Portage, but if anyone needs that link, I can provide it. But it's 42 brand new single family homes in a new neighborhood. And this is the largest single family development that the county board has done to date. So we have about 800 units that are in progress. It's a huge deal, and we will have a very, very busy summer. So I'd like to thank you for your wisdom on the Cal Recovery, especially as some of these projects struggle. They have 21 different funding sources in them. It's layered. It's a huge deal to get to the finish line. And so again, I'd like to thank you for your wisdom in your deliberations earlier.
Thank you, Director Balkema. Anyone else wishing to make public comment? Dina, is there anyone online? All right, seeing and hearing no others, we will close our first public comment and we'll move to item 11, our consent agenda.
I move that all items be voted on at one time and be considered as a consent agenda by the board.
Motion made by Vice Chair Taylor, supported by Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. There's no discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, thank you, Clerk. I should have. My apologies. Instead, we will call the roll. Thank you.
Commissioner Gisler,
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler,
Yes.
Commissioner Mazer,
Yes.
Commissioner Morales,
Yes.
Commissioner Ray,
Yes.
Chair Stribbs,
Yes.
Vice Chair Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler, Commissioner DeLu.
Yes.
8 yes.
That motion carries. Thank you. We'll go next to item 12, our unfinished business and general orders. We have none. We'll go to item 13, new business or non-consent. We also have none. And this then takes us back to public comment. The same instructions have been provided earlier. Members of the public can join us at the podium or virtually. As stated, 3 minutes to address the board. Is there anyone wishing to make public comment? Seeing none. Dina, anyone online? Seeing and hearing none, we will close public comment. We'll go to item 15, reports of our officers, bodies, administrator, and controller. I'll start us off. Thank everybody for your work tonight, making an efficient meeting, I think, this evening. Exciting things happening. I look forward to all these ribbon cuttings coming up on housing, and let's get that Cal Recovery development over the line. With that, Vice Chair.
Thank you. I was going to talk about disaster recovery and how we can partnership with local fire departments at our next meeting and have have signs up in the road warning motorists that there could be a down tree or a live wire. The local fire departments don't have the ability, and I think that's a way that the county can step up with some like mini local grants. But as I was talking about it, Dr. Catlin is already working on it, and he's already like 3 steps ahead of me. So kudos to him. That's I think something that we'll be discussing in the next couple meetings, and it's a small dollar amount that I think can go really far in helping out the local community. So, and Bo, congratulations on making the soccer team.
Because it's way too early for bed. It's too early for bed. Let's go to Vice Chair Pro Tem.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, we've been discussing that since we had the roundtable. I'm talking with Dr. Kaplan and our emergency management folks on basically an improvement for safety. Talked with our county road that oftentimes we're out, we can't move a tree because there's wires in it, and thus we need to mark it so that cars don't hit it. I had occasion in the last storm to work 2 accidents, same location, from a tree that wasn't down across the whole road, just part of it, and cars got damaged. Fortunately, knock on wood, nobody got hurt, but did have a lot of property damage. So it's important to try to notice folks as much as we can. We get very busy in the storm like we had, tornadoes, and we get trees down and they bring wires down, and thus we got to try to do our best to protect the public and protect our public workers, our public safety people, our police and our fire that are trying to assist those folks out there. So I hope we can work out something, and thank you for your support, Vice Chair, and support of the commission to try to get some, early warning, just get something out there for folks so that we keep them as safe as we can. With that being said, I have had Galesburg has reached out because they did have a tornado that passed through their town and did significant damage. They had kind of reached their maximum, and they've had to try to bring in an outside, a private contractor to help clear the brush and the debris. Obviously, many homes were also damaged. I'm getting a report from them, and I will share that with the council and our administration and see what we can do maybe to try to help them down the road. With that being said, our public service people have been out working. One of ours is out right now on a structure fire. We need to thank those folks for their continued service. When things are the worst, they're not running away, they're running towards it. And their sacrifices to not being with their families, special times. Instead, they're out trying to help the public. So please, when you see your firemen, your policemen, your ambulance folks, thank them for their service. We need to keep in mind of all of our public, all of our people that work for the county in their various capacities that are out helping keep our buildings clean, helping to run our health department, helping to make our community, our county a great place to live, work, and play. Take a minute to tell them thanks. Tell them thanks to the military folks that keep us safe from abroad, and and sometimes from within. So keep them in mind and in your prayers for their safety and helping to keep us safe around the community. With that being said, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Pro Tem. We will now go to administration. Deputy Administrator Cole.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, Chair Pro Tem. Lift up some words from Dr. Catlin. And we want to let the board and the public know that we've officially launched the 26 budget development process. One of the key advancements and enhancements that we've made this year is our new community project grant portal, which is scheduled to go live next Friday, potentially sooner. This portal invites municipalities, nonprofits, and community organizations to submit funding proposals that align with the county's strategic priorities. To support a unified and transparent budgeting approach, strategic planning sessions have been held with nearly all department heads, elected officials, court administrators. These conversations have been instrumental in strengthening alignment between departmental objectives and the broader 25-29 strategic plan. As a reminder, the county budget retreat will be held Monday, July 29th from 12 to 5 p.m. at the Kalamazoo County Expo Center. This public-facing session will provide an in-depth financial overview and highlight key investments as we navigate ongoing fiscal challenges and opportunities. As far as our capital projects, we are advancing several key infrastructure priorities. The county parking garage project has entered a final design stage, positioning us to move forward with addressing a long-standing downtown parking shortages. Simultaneously, the board continues to evaluate options for a new county admin building, including a potential full renovation of the current facility and other options. This discussion is centered on operational efficiency, long-term cost savings, and enhanced public access. With respect to ARPA and housing millage, there are some project adjustments underway. We are in process of drafting an ARPA agreement and finalizing the housing millage funding agreement to reflect changes to the Young Kings and Queens tiny homes development, as we discussed in the last board meeting. These items are anticipated to be presented for approval at the June 17th board meeting. With respect to Undue Medical Debt Relief Project, our partnership with Undue Medical Debt continues to progress. We have been informed that notification letters will be sent to eligible residents whose medical debt has been abolished towards the end of this month. To support this outreach and ensure transparency, we'll be launching a dedicated webpage that includes frequently asked questions and key information aligned with Undue's process. This is a milestone moment in our commitment to health equity and financial justice. With respect to emergency management and leadership preparedness, the Emergency Management Division is coordinating an incident command system, ICS, 300 training for mid-level managers and community agency partners. In addition, we're planning to organize ICS 400 training later this summer to strengthen leadership capacity during major emergency responses. These trainings will help ensure that our team and partners are equipped to lead during times of crisis with confidence and clarity. With respect to our DI program, our Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Director is preparing a quarterly report expected to be released by the end of this month. This report will spotlight the great work underway across departments, including in-person training sessions, leadership coaching, and initiatives to foster a more inclusive workplace culture. With that, that is the administrator's report.
Thank you, Deputy Administrator. Are there any questions? Some good stuff, right? All right, with that, let's go. We'll go to Commissioner time. Commissioner Ray.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have anything. Thank you.
Commissioner Morales.
You didn't give a dissertation. Nothing to say. Have a good night.
Commissioner Mazer.
I just want to thank Pastor Brown from the Kalamazoo Gospel Mission for coming down and giving such a beautiful invocation. So thank you.
Commissioner Gissler.
Thank you, Chair. I have two quick things. One, I want to compliment Eric Stewart and the rest of the people at K-RISA that put on the really grand opening, if you will, last Thursday for the Career Connect Center. Beautiful facility. Seems like they've really got their stuff together, and they had over 2,000 people, I understand, show up for that opening. So we'll be interested in seeing that as we go along, as kids start attending this August, I think is when they'll have their first enrollments. The other thing I want to notice is that next Monday, there'll be a meeting of the Kalamazoo Citizens for Responsible Government at Mark's Diner on Romance in Portage at 8:30 in the morning. And our speaker is going to be Gene Clem, a retired military intelligence officer, who is going to talk about the possibilities of serious domestic terrorism. And this is going beyond firebombing Tesla dealerships and that sort of thing. Apparently, he's concerned that the number of military age young men that came across our southern border in the last 4 years and speak neither Spanish nor English could be anywhere in the country and up to no good. And he'd like to help us prepare our neighbors and families to deal with that should it occur. Thank you.
Interesting. No, I'm just grateful for the two great presentations we had earlier tonight. And I guess we should be grateful that Kalamazoo County is a groundwater specialist. I didn't realize it was so rare apparently in the state. So thank you to everybody.
Thank you. And with that, let's hope we see the end of fascism in America. And with that, we're adjourned.